un-PC comments will zing out into the public sphere. Shortly thereafter, during the 2008 NBA playoffs, Jamel was suspended from writing her post after referring to Adolf Hitler in an article about the Boston Celtics, the then NBA champs, and the Detroit Pistons again. Keep in mind that Jamel is a huge fan of the Detroit Pistons from her hometown. Editor, she's not a big fan of the Detroit Pistons from anywhere else though. In her additional description why she couldn't support the Celtics, she wrote, "Rooting for the Celtics is like saying Hitler was a victim. It's like hoping," I can't believe she's putting this, "would get to the blinking red button." It's Gorbachev. Would get to the blinking red button before Reagan. Deserving or not, I still hate the Celtics. Strong words indeed, which incited strong negative comments from readers. That portion of the editor, I can't say that, was stricken from the publication shortly after it was published, and Hill was subsequently suspended for 1 week. She eventually issued an apology via ESPN. A slow learner, Jamel was at the center of another controversy in 2009 after she told Green Bay Packers fans to give Brett Favre the Duracell treatment, actually suggesting that fans at Lambeau Field throw batteries at the former quarterback. Later that year, Jamel once again should have put her foot in her mouth when she was reprehended for her comments that compared University of Kentucky Wildcats men's basketball coach John Calipari to Charles Manson. I'm getting a bit of deja vu, but regardless, Jamel later apologized to the university. Editor's note, I'm taking back my earlier suspicions that Mrs. Hill wrote this. She probably knows her own life well enough not to have paraphrased the Wikipedia entry. So she's talking
to instill this new policy.
Well, I think number one, they were scared of Donald Trump because he has obviously used the NFL as a campaign point for him, pointing out the protesting players during the national anthem, and he's used that to kind of rally his supporters and to also, and what many people believe, as a bit of a retaliation because he didn't become an NFL owner. And I think the owners, they have been consumed by all the wrong things. I don't know if they just thought that they had to get out in front of something, but there was nothing to get out in front of because toward the end of last season, I mean, the number of players who were protesting during the national anthem was down in single digits. It was very few. There wasn't a lot of chatter that they would be facing a multitude of protesters this season. So if they would have just left well enough alone, they would have been okay. And now they've handed Donald Trump a huge political victory, and prepare for the moment where he's at a rally and he's going to use the NFL to say, see, I got them to kneel to me.
You know, beyond running a country and all that, you've got stuff happening in your life that's just a little bit more important than what the basketball players said, right? But for him to pick on LeBron at this week, right? This week what happened for LeBron, what he did opening that school, the amount of goodwill, the amount of inspiration. You see how many athletes talking about, I want to do something, I got to do something. That's just the wrong week to poke that bear. And I can't imagine anyone being on that side of the argument that LeBron is not smart or LeBron is somehow not valid.
And this isn't political. Like, there's so many people that want to put this stick to sports stigma on those that do this for a living. But when 45, who I affectionately call our commander in tweets, sends messages constantly about what's happening in the sports world, now it becomes a conversation that we should address.
Entered our house.
He did. So there's a lot to unpack there. First for me is when you call Don Lemon the dumbest person on TV. He's highly intelligent.